Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hello. Oh, how
Hi.
are you laughing when I'm calling you? That's so weird.
Because I knew, I
You
anticipated
knew.
that you're
You
going
knew
to
I
say
was gonna
something
call?
funny.
Okay.
But usually I tell myself jokes because I'm like the funniest person that I know, but because I spend a lot of time by myself.
It's because we're not in the same province, so you could say that.
Exactly.
You know, you were saying that.
So
Do you
happy
have?
300.
Thank you. Happy 300th episode.
She just
So
turned 300 years old, guys.
Oh God, I'm trying so hard not to swear right now. Do you have any idea how hard it is to not swear for this short period of time every Friday night, guys? We did this so that we could like be on platforms. Otherwise, you can't be. Oh! So this, okay, do you know what this means? So that means for 300 Friday nights. Okay, so not all 300 were spent in my closet. The first few were actually spent in my car in the cold. Like,
yes,
remember?
me too.
Like, it's scary because I was like in a parking lot.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, and we'd bring a blanket, and then you'd be like, "Yeah, I'll go in my car in the driveway," because that was the only way to get quiet. And we used to record in our cars at night, and then we figured out how to record in our homes a bit more safely. I remember a while for me that was in the bathroom for the sound.
I'm gonna try to see if I
Or
find like a half decent picture, and I may or may not post that to our group.
no, she may not actually post
Of me,
anything.
just me.
Okay, because we've had like pictures of the two of us. Like, yeah, the opposite of what you said. So yeah, so I remember the day we discovered that like I could actually sit in my bed and record. I'm like, whoa, this is way better than a cold car, the bathroom floor. But now because I got a mic that's better, it picks up too much sound. So I'm in the closet. Good times. 300 times. I had no plans on a Friday night. 300 times.
We're just like super dedicated.
300 times. I had no life. So I did this. Nobody to talk to. So I decided to have a podcast.
Oh, we talk. We just thought we were so
We
funny.
talk to
Let's
each
let
other.
the world know. Yeah, exactly.
You know, this was your fault. Literally your fault.
Why?
Because I found one General Hospital podcast. I talked to you about it, and then we always talk about it. And then you were like, "We should do it," and I was like, "What?"
Because I said we're funny and people would like us.
But then I don't know why I went about figuring it out. You understand, like I know nothing about nothing. And then I like now that I look back, I'm like, how did I know? How did I what? Like I recorded like a theme song and the ringing, and I did it with like Kleenex and headphones for like sound stuff. I have no idea what possessed me to go like, let's make a podcast. Let me figure out how. I have no idea how I did it. I don't know how we did it. I don't know.
Honestly, I admire you because yes, you just delved right in and you figured everything else out, and it's quite literally amazing. And here we are 300 episodes later, and I'm grateful for you and this podcast because it does brighten up my Friday.
And I don't even like social media. Does everybody know this? I don't.
Nope, she really does not.
Oh my gosh. And then it's like, open an Instagram page. I'm like, I used to call it Instantgram. Okay. Like, that's what I used to call it. And then it was like, we have to make a page. And then I remember you were like, say stuff on it. I'm like, I don't want to say stuff on it because if I was so like scared. I'm like, if I say stuff, then what are we going to say on the podcast? So at first I would try to say very little because I didn't know. But now we could say whatever on the Instagram and we can say other things on the podcast. And it's been 4 minutes in, and this is where people have stopped listening. They're like, okay. They're like, so 300 was your last? This is the last time I'm going to listen. Thanks so much. Thank you.
It's been great. Peace.
Okay. So yeah, it was our anniversary. I'm not sure if I was celebrating right there or not about that.
I feel we're going to take it as a celebration.
Yeah. Congratulations, us.
Yay. Woo woo.
Okay. So we at least spoke to each other 300 times in the last
at least
few years. So we have a running count.
We do. We do. We have
Um,
a tally.
Speaking of counts, Michael, body
Oh,
count,
Michael.
uh, potential killer count of people he protects, by the way.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so
Yes.
Michael, this was so funny. Like, it's such a contrast to like him and Jocelyn. And so Michael sees it. He's like, he got mad, but like he was immediately gonna help. He's like, seriously, Dad? It was very like
Right?
that. It was like, really? In my backyard boathouse? You
Come
shot a
on,
man?
man.
Yeah, Michael was like, crap, because he has to fix it, right? That's who he is. He's a fixer.
He is. And he's reassumed, his role of being that son and being close to Sonny and their bond. And like, what better test than lying to the police and figuring out how to navigate this whole situation?
What was his plan? Because it doesn't feel
Oh,
it felt like a spontaneous murder. Because he asked to meet at the boathouse. He had the gloves on, but then literally, what was your plan? Because like Michael was picking up all the casings, he got like he had no plan. Like Michael showed up and then Michael was the plan.
yes, exactly. Sonny has no plan. If he doesn't have actual people around him to guide him, he is a lost little soul.
So Michael does what he does best. It's just so interesting though, because when you think about last week, right? He goes and he has this big heart to heart with Dante. He's been building this relationship with him, and it felt like Michael was an afterthought, even though he's the one who actually lives there. Their convo was just fine. So it like based on like last week and the past, basically, it's so you would not have predicted this, right? This moment, but this moment kind of is rejigging old dynamics.
It really is. This week felt different for exactly that reason. It felt very theatric. It felt very old school soap opera, and we're just kind of reshifting things
It
around
was
again.
so funny. But do you know what's weird? And I don't know if you feel this way. And again, we'll get into the whole Carly study stuff after. But when I say like rejigging the dynamics, kind of like putting back, what's been broken, like bringing Michael back into the fold, bringing Carly back into Sunny's life. But it doesn't feel the same.
No, it does not.
It doesn't feel the same. So this is really interesting how they're doing it, and we'll talk more about like what that means. So Michael, tells Sunny where his mom is, right? So this is really about loyalty, and it's it's something that Michael does understand,
Yes.
despite trying to send his dad to jail and that time he took Avery away from him. He
Yeah.
understands, and slept with his brother's like fiance. But he gets
Yeah.
loyalty. He gets
He
loyalty
does, though.
mostly, more than his uncle for sure. So, so he tells Sonny that Carly is, wherever she is. But I mean, she didn't know what was going on. But if Sonny is saying to you, "I
No.
was with you for the last 30 minutes or so," there is literally no other reason.
No, 100%. There's something really awful that went down. And I'm just, how we always talk about how Jason gets her out of trouble and Sunny just keeps bringing trouble to
Ooh,
her. And even though he's back on his medication and things are fixed, Carly is so far past this and she knows it. And
yeah.
we'll get into her reactions. But it is so frustrating that, yeah, well, I'm on my medication. I'm okay now. Okay, wait, cover for me. You can go to jail too. Let's love each other forever. No.
But do you know what's interesting though? Like now that you put it that way, it's that we were worried that the medication would be this sort of like carte blanche, when we know
Yes.
that Sunny acting a type of way post Nixon Falls was happening way before this medication storyline. And he was making choices with regards to his family and a bunch of things prior to the medication storyline. But I think it's interesting, right? He's medicated, he's more balanced right now and back to like a healthier place. So now we're saying everything is fine with the medication. However, these flaws of Sunny, this dysfunctional
Yes.
dynamic, that's real and solid. So that's also so it is kind of interesting because the medication is not going to be a thing that sweeps everything away. So that's sort of another way of looking at it is that it's also punctuating who Sunny is even when he's like medicated. But the thing is Carly was down like instantly.
Yes, she was. It was like a reflex more than a religion.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
It
flexing a
was
muscle.
it was definitely a reflex, but also like old times. Yeah, let's do it. Like, you know what I mean? There's
Yes.
we talk about impulsiveness when it comes to
Hmm.
Carly. I'm trying to think to myself, I'm like, does that feel impulsive? Maybe because she jumped in without thinking. But at the same time, she's not just impulsive. She has a different meter for like danger, right? She does need a little bit of adrenaline in her life. It may not be motorcycles, but she's
Mm-hmm.
not like Elizabeth always knew that she didn't have it to tolerate this level of like chaos and danger and risk. It's not for everyone, right? But Carly,
Yes.
yeah, some level of danger and risk is just also a part of who she is. And I don't think that part's ever acknowledged. So I don't think the decision, I think it is a reflex to help Sunny. I think loyalty, family, all some of the things that she was talking to Joss about today factor in. Sure, we can call it impulsive, like that's her trait, but I also think like there's a part of her like this danger, that life, like it doesn't just leave you. It's part of her. It's been part of
Yeah.
her life since she's been like a young adult. How do you just stop it? And so I do think that is an outside of Sunny thing because there's Sunny, there's the loyalty, but then there's that like attraction to danger, a scam, screwing over the police.
That's very true. That's totally true.
So I did not expect at all what was about to happen next. So she's up there with Sunny. She's saying yes. And then she goes downstairs. And I just could not believe what happened next. I died laughing. I was like, what is going on? Not even just that, but even just the dialogue.
Yes.
Like even Chase to say something like that. Like, I think we kind of know what went on here, like the implication. And then she looks down and the guy is like literally tucking his
I could
shirt
not.
in.
I could not. It was wild.
I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just so shocking. First of all, it's like you have to grasp and deal with the shock of the fact that, like, yeah, Kate's is dead and he straight up did it at the quarter means what? And then you have Michael swooping in with all of that. You've got Willow and Drew doing their own thing. And then you have, okay, Sunny and Carly, all right, sure, alibi. And then they throw you with this added story on top of it.
Like that, it just felt like that when that Monday happened, it felt like a week's worth of GH jammed into one. Like my brain was on complete overload.
I know. I know. It was completely insane. And I kind of loved how it got wrapped up a little bit. So I don't even know, honestly, like what happened like that Monday or if it all happened on the same day. So Michael calls, he does this thing with Chase. So I like that. He called Chase. He's like, oh, there's a cop on the premises anyway. Um, but even just like Tracy was really funny because you're like, okay, like Michael calls the police, all the quartermains are there and Sunny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that
Yes.
hard to draw conclusions. Of course, drawing conclusions and evidence are two different things. But
Yeah.
I love that Tracy just straight up stated the obvious because it's like it's being portrayed a little bit like a who done it, but it's like we know who done it. And I love I think I know guys how to solve this, and some people feel insulted. Like some people feel like she's jumping the gun in terms of how they react to Tracy, but like what other reaction is there?
Truly.
Oh my gosh. And then at some point, Carly and Sunny leave. I'm like, okay, wow. Like they're actually allowed to leave the premises. And then they head to his place to kind of like review the alibi and also for Carly to process that it turns out she's his alibi for murder. At the same time, you can't be clutching your pearls when you agreed to provide an alibi. Just just to start.
Very true. I agree. I agree. She knew. She knew it was something nefarious.
Oh my gosh, what are we talking about? How could we skip to when she goes to the penthouse? So when Carly is taken aback by what Sunny is trying to imply, and then forgetting that Nina is there, right? So Nina's been waiting, and she's also dealing with like Tracy until and
Yes.
being like Michael invited me, and then the fact that like I just couldn't believe that Nina walked up to them.
I know. Like it's pretty brave.
It's so wild. I'm like, you are sleeping with Drew, who you know has a. First of all, you're sleeping with Drew to keep him away from your daughter. One.
Yeah, great plan. Great plan.
So it's like already she sort of moved on. It's just that nobody knows. But then she walks up to Sunny in front of Carly, where she says something like, I don't want to like intrude. And she's like, then don't, like, or whatever was it she said. And
Yes.
then in front of Carly, like, talk about losing face, asking Sunny, like, are you back together? Like, why? Why that question? Why put yourself in that situation?
It because she's Nina. She Nina'd all over it.
Yes, definitely in that moment. And he kind of like brushed her off. And when he said things got heated, and even then I was confused, right? Because he tucks the shirt in and she's like, what are you doing? And then
Yeah.
he tells Nina things got heated or something to that effect. And I'm like you fought? Like, even I couldn't process.
Yeah.
Even I couldn't process. I'm like, is he okay? All right. And okay, so there's Nina kneeling it up there, but then I kind of felt bad for her. I was like, excuse me, I was offended because when Drew walked in, she goes, oh, like, how are you doing, like, with McConkey's death? And I'm like, are you joking? He's Nina's family friend. And Drew
I
didn't even go like,
know.
"Are you okay?" Like, you don't even remembering. Like, I get it. You were close to the man in the last few months, and he did a lot for you. You totally gave your sob story to Willow. Like, McConkey triggered my daddy issues, and I think it's
Ugh.
making me want to kiss you and tell you things that I shouldn't, but I will because I want you to hold them in your head. What?
It's so messed up. So messed up.
So I was really annoyed on behalf of Nina that he did not even factor in the fact that like she's grieving because like she knew him too.
Yeah, it's very annoying. We're seeing a very different side of Drew, and it just like it's like you like him because he has this outer appearance of being perfect. And Nina called it right. It's just like how
Yes,
people treat him is how he'll act in return. But he's very self-involved right now.
it is true, right? Because Nina does see something in Drew that's pretty accurate. But again, people see what they wanted to see. They've seen it for years with Sunny. And it was just like out of the blue, everyone's like, oh, he's a monster. It was just ridiculous. So, okay, so we have all of that going on. But when Drew and Willow show up, Michael describes how she was shaking. And I'm like, she wasn't that's what's sad. She's not shaking over the dead body at all.
Yes. I
It's
don't know.
about everything with like Drew and the whole like, oh, we're coming from the event. No, you're not. You left the event to go to his office for like a while.
A long while.
I was worried there because I'm like, okay, so Willow just came back from Drew. And remember, like, they tell each other everything. And she already feels like Michael keeps secrets.
Yes.
And this is a secret. Like, he doesn't even know that she couldn't even keep it a secret that they like helped Jason. So, I mean, Michael does know better. He knows not to implicate her and not to tell her, even though they're married.
Yes.
And going back to Willow and her little thing with Drew, I was just laughing. I'm like, it's kiss, apologies, and repeat. Like, that's just their like cycle. And then
Yes.
when she goes, am I a wife who cheats? I'm like, yeah, remember
Yeah.
Chase, how you were married?
Yeah.
And then Michael. And then you remember how you were married to Michael and then his uncle? Yeah. Like, I know you don't like the sound of it, but I mean, you are cheating and you're asking, are you a wife who cheats? It's pretty factual. I don't know what she was looking for. He's like, no, you're not. Let's do it and then ask questions.
I just want them to do it and get it over with already.
Me
Because at this point in
too.
time, I'm so tired of like the I hit your face with my emotions that came out as a kiss. Like I can't.
I just like, I don't know, all this guilt over two kisses, like sleep with them, like
Honestly, get some real guilt going here. Like
can't like you're not keeping my interest, Willow. You need to cross the
truly.
borderline because like when I saw her like crying, looking at her nightstand with the picture, I'm like, do you need it tattooed to your forehead? Because maybe you just like because you keep forgetting, like you know what I mean, the back and forth. It just I don't know. In a way, it makes it so much worse because she is willowing it up. Like she's trying to be like, no, this is bad. We can't. But that's even worse because you're saying how horrible it is and then you're going to do it. It would be way better if you weren't thinking. Because then you
I
don't
know.
know you're doing a bad thing until after. But it's worse. It's like she's the opposite of Nina. Nina just does it and is like, oops, I did a bad thing. Willow is like, this is such a bad thing. And I'm going to take a long time to think about it and feel bad about it. And then I'm going to do it. That's worse. It's going to feel worse.
So much worse.
I
It's
can't
gonna
believe
be
I'm
so
saying it.
planned.
Yes, I'm like, you need to take a page out of your mom's book. But I think ultimately, like, you have Drew not really proposing an affair, but he's proposing an alternate life. He's like, I wish I met you
Ooh.
first. And then with this whole stress with the Kate's murder that Michael is covering, and clearly more trouble to come as a result of this, where other people are going to get blamed. He's
Yes.
going to be more stressed. There's going to be things that he's not saying. Of course, people are going to suspect Sunny. And that's what she's going to feel like. Michael doesn't treat me like an equal, but you do, Drew.
And we didn't like I'm ready for the exactly that. finding out what's going on, running into Drew's arms, but also shortly, very shortly thereafter, finding out about Nina. And not for Nina, because it breaks my heart actually for their
Yeah.
relationship to be broken, but I want that anger to be directed to Drew. That's what I'm hoping.
I hope it is because it would be pretty devastating if it was, but it depends on what she finds out and how, right? Because
True,
it
true.
at the end of the day, well, no, they both knew, but I don't know. Willow's being really oddly
Hmm.
biased against Drew.
Okay, true, true.
I think the instinct might be to be mad at Nina, but like, who knows how this is going to shake out? But I couldn't believe that she was attempting to tell Michael. She's like, Drew talked about a dead dad, Alan.
So
And like I wanted to like comfort him and oh, the phone rings. And I was like, that is not a good way to tell him. That is
no.
I don't even know. I don't know what a good way would be, but I don't think acting like it was an accident is helpful. Like I don't think acting like he was so sad and I was trying to comfort him and I didn't have any ideas at the moment and
So
that
he's the
one just
face.
came. Like, I just feel like that's not, I don't even know where she was going with that rationale. That I only kiss other people outside of our marriage for comfort, not for me, for them. Also, fireworks, loud sounds, bright lights.
I just want to
Rain,
be helpful to your
rain.
family.
Yeah. So I'm sensitive to weather, other people's feelings, loud noises, bright
Loud
lights.
noises.
Yeah,
Yes.
she needs to be supervised. And I knew her little dream. That was hilarious. She's
Oh
like,
my
oh my gosh,
gosh.
I'm so tortured. I'm dreaming of my husband. Then he turns into Drew. Oh, and then it turns out there was no one. I'm like, yeah, it's probably what's going to happen. You're going to end up with no one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Ugh.
And she'll have to live somewhere else that's not on a compound.
That's really funny. Like that is shade thrown to her cult days.
Damn, yeah.
But I honestly, I she makes me laugh. Like the storyline is like funny for me and like watching Willow, I'm just like, I don't know. It's entertaining. But I do feel bad for Michael on this one, right? Because he's
Of
handling a lot.
course.
He's handling a lot. So it's like,
Hmm.
like he's trying to cover for his dad that he's been estranged with. And he's literally been having these heartbreaking conversations about the way his father has treated him and rejected him. And now he's doing this for his dad. And then his wife is cheating on him with his uncle. But before she can get to that, his sister calls and was like, I lost my murder gun. Could you come over?
Okay. Just back to just Michael's relationship assessments. Like up until now, like Willow almost died but didn't die. All of his previous relationships, except for Sasha, escaped barely
Yeah.
in their relationship. So now it's like they're making his relationship die, but she's still alive. Like they're just killing it with Drew. Like he can't be
Yeah.
happy apparently with a woman.
No. But, you know, he was fine with Sasha.
He was. I
Like they were
agree. I was
equals in a
worried for her life.
yeah, like I find Sasha and him were equals, but I don't know why because obviously I thought him and Willow were a good match. They had connected ages ago, but she had kind of like, Chase had already made his move, but they had known each other first because of their grief group. There was a lot of things that like more serious things that had bonded them and brought them together. But I mean, there was nothing bad about when he was with Sasha. It's just that they did that whole scheme and then life changed. Nothing
Yes.
terrible ever happened between Michael and Sasha.
True. Very true.
They never really tried again. It was more like Willow was undecided about trying, and then she can't say no. And when Chase was trying, and they sort of had their thing, she couldn't really admit her feelings for Michael. But I don't think that like Michael and Sasha really rekindled anything.
No, and they're better off as friends. And yes, I do feel they're equals and they should be besties, but that's it.
Yeah, like it wouldn't make sense. They'd have to write it to lead to that. Like she's literally in her own story, and I do find that regardless of their past, they do come off like friends.
Absolutely. The best of friends.
For now, we'll see. It depends on the course that they choose. Okay, so that's the Willow and Drew stuff, and then we have the other fake couple, Carly and Sunny. Oh my gosh, what did you think of those scenes? They were shockingly funny.
Oh my gosh, Carly, like you made a post about the face acting. It was truly on point. It was so entertaining. Like I think I watched those scenes a couple of times. I love how, like when nobody's looking, she's just looking at him like, what the actual F is
I
happening right now? Like,
know.
I did not agree to this in that manner. We could have come up with a million other things, not this. And I just love the pushback, the eyes, the banter and everything. Like, it was so well done.
Because I do feel like the way that they were going back and forth really respected the recent history. And
Yes.
it's like I never really thought we would come to this point where they're together and talking about being together, and it just, even to them, doesn't feel right. Like you could tell it's over. And honestly, I never really saw a moment where I really felt like it was over for Sunny and Carly. They've been married numerous times, but they were still deeply connected. But this is like the first time I feel like that romance part is gone, but that loyalty is there. It's the first time I really, really see it.
That's so true. And I like that. I like this version, like you said, of people reconnecting, but in vastly different ways. It's like parallel universe and also slash the way it should be.
Right? Like it's not, again, I don't know what they're doing, right? I don't know if in the end they're going to try to force them together. I don't know if in the end they're going to
Ugh.
try to put back the Michael dynamic exactly like how it was with Sunny. It doesn't feel that way because Michael has been open and having so many exchanges about the complicated relationship he's had with his father. I find that they're clearly looking more deeply into the into relationships in general. They did the Christina and Sunny. They've now diving into the Davis dynamics, the dynamics between Molly and Christina. Like they're really like going deeper, I find, in certain ways. So like
Hmm.
I don't know, like I see this being really complicated, doing this really huge favor for a father that wasn't really there for you. And I don't necessarily see them being besties, but I can see people maybe like maybe Michael, I don't know, will he feel glad that the loyalty is there and they'll always be there for each other, even though things have changed and even though he has to accept his father for who he is and the limits of what he can actually give him as a father. So I could see that being complicated because
Yes.
Michael is usually cool, but they've been showing him a little rattled about this cover up.
Yes, definitely
Little
different.
rattled.
Oh my gosh, just him and Carly. Like you said, we're just seeing these different versions of them, yet it's just like muscle memory to do the things that they're doing.
Yes, and I can't see them choosing to do anything else, right? There is no alternative. They're not going to be the reason to to send him to jail despite what he did. And I know that sounds insane, but
Yeah.
I feel like we as an audience are also being pulled into this because we've
Yes.
also watched it for a very long time. So we understand the instinct, and then you have Joss
Yes.
of a different generation. So I feel like it's really funny because soap operas are generational and so are the audience and so are the like cohort of characters we grow up watching. And
Yes.
Carly, Sunny, they fit into the cohort we watched. So we actually watched when they were young. We watched when Elizabeth was a teenager. So we've come up with them. So it's just funny, even us, like the loyalty we feel about how the characters function and that of course they're not going to turn their back, and even though it's ridiculous, we can't see Michael or Carly doing anything different when it comes to protecting Sunny. And so I loved it. I loved her going like, so how did you seduce me this time? Like she could not be more over it. I
Yes.
was stunned when he talked about messing up Tracy's bed because that's the first we hear of like what room this even happened in,
Yes.
and
Oh
that
my
little detail
word.
was hilarious. And I love like when he said like, "Oh, we just saw each other, and, things just happened." She's like, "That is not believable."
I
And then,
love that so
oh my
much.
gosh, it was so good. And then she painted a whole other picture. And yes, I think it's hard to not be involved. It's hard for her to not ask this detail because that's the role she's used to playing. And these are the nuances, right? So I guess I'm just going to jump in and include Joss in this. So like with Joss, everything is so clear. And I feel like there's also the generational factor there, and maybe even pulling in the fact that she's Jax's daughter as well.
Hmm.
But they've been doing this a lot with Joss and Carly. So again, we are longtime viewers, so we sort of understand the complexities of Sunny and Carly. We have actually, as an audience, seen the worst of Sunny, the best of Sunny. We've seen the worst of Carly, the best of Carly, her growth. We've seen them be the worst and the best together. And I think, we can understand. I think if you're older, not Joss is not going to understand what it means to know a friend and call them family. Like she has that with Trina right now, but that's a short amount
Yes.
of time. So you hear with Trina, like we've known each other for so long. But take that and multiply it by 1,000, right? Like Carly has a
Yes.
family with Sunny. The bond will never be broken. They will never not be in each other's lives. They have kids together. They have a family together. And so, but at the same time, it's really hard because I, as an audience member, feel judged by Jocelyn because this girl is not saying anything wrong. There's an accuracy to what she's saying. That is sort of what youth is, right? She's pretty logical. She sees it for what it is. She gets it. And she does see it clearly. She could describe it perfectly, accurately, but there's a lack of nuance, right? Like,
Yes.
of course, it's the, where no one ever is gonna like ignore like anything extreme, like the abuse or the toxicity, but there's not just that.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's way too complicated for her to understand at this stage in her life. And no, I'm not encouraging her to go get a Sunny and Carly dynamic, but this speaks to the fact that like life and things aren't so black and white. And I love it because it does portray, the generational difference. Like we came up with Carly, we saw all of that stuff. I heard what Joss had to say, and like I said, she is not inaccurate in her assessment. She's not inaccurate, and like it's rough, right? Because we're seeing the consequences of all her choices. Like that's bad. Like she used a recent example.
I
She's like, "You almost
know.
went to jail and you apologized to me." And I was like, "Oh man, she
Shit.
did." Like
Yes.
I'm just so used to this. Like I was down, Carly was down, I was down. I'm like, "Yeah, this is what we do. We go on these crazy adventures. We do crime together. Like that's what this soap is." But then to hear it from her perspective, like, yeah, like she can't trust her mom. Like she could
Mm.
lose her again, and she's so sick of thinking about all the ways in which she will lose her. But she grew up differently because also of the choices her mom made, right? She's judging her mom for all these messed up choices, and it's not that they were not messed up, but
Mhm.
Carly did grow and evolve and did raise Jocelyn in a specific way so that Jocelyn does not end up as a Carly in other ways.
Well, you're saying so many awesome things because exactly that. Joss can sit there and not understand because of how well Carly raised her and protect her, so she truly doesn't get it. And that's the whole beauty of that scene.
But do you know how awful that is? Because you're like, as a mom, she's like, yeah, yep, everything you're saying about me right now is true. And ultimately, that's what I want. I want a kid who could see that, not the disrespectful parts. Like again,
No, of
Jocelyn did
course
not
not.
have to be disrespectful. She could have, like Carly was right. Like she kept trying to poke at every like flaw. Like you would have yelled, you would have slammed doors, but you cannot deny the fact. And when Carly said it explicitly, just like I've allowed you to make your own choices, and that I would have
Yes.
heard you out, and that is very, very true. She
Yes.
lashed out again, showing the youth and the fact that like she is the daughter, she is the kid still in those moments, and the way that she's handling it, right? She's not coming to this with understanding and nuance. Again, she has many reasons to be angry about all of this, but yeah, like you're proud that she's in this headspace, but she's disappointed in you. But that's also supposed to be your crowning moment at the same time.
It's right. It's wild. It's so well done.
Oh man, and Geo. Oh my, the funny
Gio.
vibe. So like he's loving it. He's like, I am part of this family.
Yeah.
Tracy's freaking out. She made a reference like the four-legged urges
Oh,
and
I
these
cannot.
reprehensible people. And then Geo is like, I want in on this, and goes four-legged urges is the name of my new band. Watching Ned laugh, watching Lois, and then Lois saying, "You really need to get out of here." Poor Gio was so sad and disappointed to miss out on the
Yeah.
dramedy happening in the living room. And then he's like bummed. And then he goes to see Trina and Joss. And then Trina's giving him the eyes like, no, don't do that. Do not pull that thread. When she's like, how? She's like, he's like, the regular way, and how the thing. And then I'm like, this poor kid just getting kicked out of all the rooms.
Okay, no, but my favorite part was I think it was Joss left and then came back. And then Trina was trying to push Gio out the door. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Please tell Joss I'm sorry. And then the camera pans out and Joss is sitting by the window. Like she could hear him saying things on the door.
What we call it, sound noise.
Yes, the sound noise
Yeah,
wasn't
the
working.
sound noise
It
barrier.
was
So
broken.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. So I loved all of that, all of the Quartermain shenanigans. And it didn't end with Geo. It didn't end with the fact that Sonny and Carly, air quotes, did it in Tracy's bed. There was a surprise Saturday Night Live guest. So I was just like, okay, so they made up this dialect story, this story in terms of Lois's accent for this, but now I don't know. We've had her harp on her accent randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Then, there's this guest spot, pretty cool.
Yes.
She gets it in one lesson, and we talked about it. Does she want to drop the accent? But then when Brooklyn and her are talking, she's like, there's another reason. And I'm like, what's the other reason you don't want your accent? Is there somebody you don't want to recognize? Now that your audience is expanded, you don't want them to recognize how you speak. I don't understand,
Ooh.
because she said, what's the other reason? She's saying it has nothing to do with the comments. Okay, so is it you're just committed to sales? Like, what's the other reason?
Okay, there's more to this mystery.
I
I
don't
love it.
know. I don't know, because it's like a random detail that they threw in, and I don't think it was for nothing. And Olivia returned.
Yes, she did.
She hasn't been on the show for like super long.
Oh, right, she did.
I was like, you're like, yes, Olivia is a Quartermain. I'm like, no, pointing to the fact that she hasn't been on in so long. So it's like Olivia is back.
She sure is, with a vengeance.
Oh man, we're having so much fun that I forgot about like the other twists, like the whole Christina calling Michael and everything there that happened this week.
Oh my goodness. But like, that's okay. So do we want to go to,
Yeah, let's get depressing. Let's just get
because let's get dark.
let's get
Dark, guys.
dark. Okay,
Got a little dark up
turn
in
down the
here.
lights. Turn down the lights. So I didn't expect that. Okay. She goes to get a gun, and then we find her at the grave, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I wasn't sure. Like, I think I felt what Alexis felt, and I thought she was gonna hurt herself. Like, I really did not
Oh
understand what was
yeah, big
going on.
time.
And clearly she had no plan. I don't think she knew she would end up at the grave. She said she knew where Kate's was heading.
Yes.
I mean, it was hard. Like, I know she's grieving, and she brought the stuffy for her daughter, but I see Molly's stuffy, and I'm like,
Yes.
this is it's rough. It's so rough, because it's like nothing there is settled, right? Like all we had was Molly go talk to Alexis, and nothing. She's just been kind of absent. We even saw TJ this week.
We did. We got a glimpse of TJ and a lot about his feelings.
Yeah. And like, and the thing is, it's like what the hell is Molly gonna think now? This is just like, this is her perspective. Chaos on top of chaos. But imagine, who's more messy? Alexis talking all this crap about Christina. Look at Alexis. What?
I could not with Alexis this week. Okay, apparently nobody knows how to use the phone or text message or anything that would not allow them to go cuckoo bananas. Like, there's so many people Alexis could have called apart from Diane.
Alexis could have asked Christina, "What are you doing with a gun in your bag?"
Yeah, thank you very much.
If she was
Yes.
strong enough to steal a car and steal a gun and be gone for a while, I'm pretty sure she can answer a question
Right?
before you ran out. Because if she said, I took it from dad's, cool, call Sunny, done,
Yeah, totally done.
done, drama, done. But like, I don't know if Alexis will ever cop to her role in Molly and Christina's dynamic. Because, it's look, I understand Christina's side of it, but I also want to see what's going on with Molly. Like, her dad's back. She doesn't feel supported. Like, when are we also going to get to see? And I mean, maybe next week we're going to get to see more of Molly, but it's like we're watching Christina, we're watching everybody deal with the fact that they're hearing Christina blatantly say, my daughter, calling her by a completely different name. And, she's in a different state physically. And then there was even that like bonding moment between Sam and Christina, because Sam does
Yes.
understand. I don't know if they're acknowledging the fact, right, that like Sam's daughter did save Christina. Like, there was a transplant there.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Okay.
And then Sam said something to Alexis, or something about like, they mentioned about Sam's grief. It must have been hard to talk about. And then Sam says something like, I don't know what I said or did when I was grieving, but I'm pretty sure you can Google a pretty fiery scene where I think Sam is telling off Alexis.
Oh, okay.
Because when Sam's daughter died, Christina was probably like 2 and she needed something. And that's when they found out that like Sam was Alexis's daughter and they hated each other. I think she may have slapped Alexis also.
Hot dog.
So I wonder if it was like a nod to those very messy scenes when Christina was a baby.
Well, I hope so. It tied all together, and I love that.
Yeah. So like that was like an interesting like a comment that they had. But when I think about like Molly and I was thinking about this after our last podcast because it was last week that Molly and Alexis talked, but it was listening to more about what Molly had to say, I think like think about it. Christina is messy and you have a child perception, right? Like like Molly's
Hmm.
perceptions are like a kid's take on their surroundings that she kind of kept as an adult. So, yeah, she's probably not wrong that Christina got a lot of attention, but she also got a lot of negative attention. And their relationship is really
Exactly.
rocky. And we're watching Alexis do it now. She only shows up for Christina in extreme moments.
Yes.
She's calmer and kinder. Like she doesn't know how to relate to Christina. So look at her panicking. She only knows how to respond to a crisis when it comes to Christina, but beyond that, they don't have like the same relationship, right? It's not complicated for Alexis to connect with Molly. It was always easier with Molly for sure. Like I don't think it was a minefield to understand Molly as it is for Alexis to understand Christina. And Christina said, like Molly said some significant things. She was like, I saw the toll it took on my mom. So you have to think Molly was young and she's watching
Yes.
the chaos and she's this considerate little girl. But I'm pretty sure Alexis may have rewarded the fact that she didn't take much. Like that's the point. Molly is considerate. So she's programmed not to take, right? And Christina was
Yes.
always open about what she needs. So think of it from Molly's perspective. I'm not to need. I never take. So the fact that Christina even opens up about anything is going to
Mm.
be deeply inconsiderate in Molly's eyes. She's going to see Christina as a taker because
Yes.
she was sort of bred to kind of be like, I like you're easier. Like how often has that kind of been emphasized? Your sister is a mess. What is the implicit message? You're not. Thank you for making it easier on me. And I'm pretty sure Molly by Alexis was definitely rewarded for just not being a lot, not being needy, being easier.
Just being a little quiet mouse that
Yeah.
exists in the house and not, it's like the whole be seen, not heard from back in the day.
Yeah. Like I'm sure like Molly was the like, the best part. Like, oh, your sister's a mess, but thank goodness for you. So I mean, of course I think Molly and Christina have their stuff, but I don't know if Alexis even seeing her pattern in action. Alexis is chaotic. She's responding to Christina, but she
Hmm.
knows how to respond for big things. But beyond that, she doesn't know how to connect with Christina. She could even go up and ask her, "Why'd you do
I
that?"
know. Oh my gosh, I could not.
But she could defend her as a lawyer. And when Christina was saying things like, I want to kill him, and she was very nonchalant, like 1 out of 2, Alexis was like, you shouldn't say that. So the judgment's right there. Whenever Christina is like talking about her feelings and about the baby, again, touchy topic, you always have Alexis in the background, kind of like big eyes, being like, what? I don't know. I don't know. Like, she doesn't know what to do when Christina is not in an extreme crisis situation. Like when she's just talking or just saying
Yes.
words, Alexis like does not know what to do.
No, she does not. She does all the wrong things
All
or
the
nothing at all.
yes. And so poor Michael, he really did look like Jason though, the short black sleeve.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, someone had pointed it out, and then I looked again. I'm like, damn, he actually kind of does look like Jason in the scene. And he's listening and watching Christina, and he's like, no, I know you didn't do it. Like, I believe you. And
I
how horrible
trust
is this?
you.
So it's like Michael knows the truth, Carly knows the truth, Jason knows the truth, Sunny knows the truth, yet nobody has told Sunny about his missing gun.
I know. Oh my
And then
gosh.
Alexis can't reach Diane. So the next best thing is to take the gun out in public and drive to a bridge and hope that nobody is going to go there. And by the by, who is going to that bridge to have ice cream and chill?
Thank
That
you
is
very much. It's not a date situation, and even if it was a cuter spot, That is Elizabeth and Jason's place, not a Rick type place.
That is literally Jason and every woman's
Oh
spot.
yeah.
Okay, that is everybody's spot. I'm like, it's a crying spot. It's a deep dark situation bridge.
Yes.
You know, it's where you like jump off if the police is after you.
I was
It's when
just thinking.
someone's dead, you go and you think about them. It's where the person you thought was dead shows up to show you they're not dead. It's definitely not where you go for ice cream. I think Alexis had the right idea, actually. To be honest, Alexis did what needed to be done on that bridge. Like, that's what it's for. It's not for ice cream.
It's really not. They got it all wrong. Like
They
Rick
got it
is
all
all
wrong.
wrong.
I mean, Rick was really hounding Elizabeth, and at first I'm like, whatevs. I'm fine with it until he showed up. And I think Alexis was super, super funny. Like, that scene took me out. She's like, 2 out of your 3 ex-wives are here. And honestly, I thought, okay, this is even funnier. So when I was like, who's the third? I'm like, was it Hayden? Because I think that they were fake married, or no, he hired her. So I was confused. So in my head, I'm like, I don't know, he had a scheme with Hayden. Like, who was the third person he was married to? And then when like Nina brings Rick as Ava's lawyer, talk about not thinking. In my head, this is me. So I see this scene happen, and I'm like, let me Google Rick and Ava. So I Google Rick and Ava to see what pictures. I'm like, did they overlap? Like, I don't recall a major storyline with them. It was obviously a very long time ago. And then I'm seeing pictures of old Nina and Rick
Yeah.
like making out with old Nina's mom, Madeline. Never once does it click to me that old Nina is new Nina, the Michelle
Oh,
Stafford. Not once, because it was Michelle Stafford. So the whole time I'm like, so
it's
I,
so
I so
funny.
I so I Google Rick and Ava. I see the pictures of Rick and Michelle Stafford, and then I'm watching the scene going, well, how does Nina know Rick? And then I'm like, and then because Ava's like, that's Sonny's brother. And I'm like, okay, so is Nina finding out that Rick is Sonny's brother right now? And then Rick's bringing up Julian, and then finally Nina's like, when we were married. And I'm like, both Ninas are one Nina. And she does know Rick is Sonny's brother. I laughed like that. She married both of them.
I did laugh too, to be honest, because I did not remember, but when they started talking about it, it like triggered my videographic memory. And I was like, dude, the brothers, you're like so Port Charles.
It's so Port Charles, but even like the picture did not it did not make me understand that Nina knew Rick at all. I was like, I don't know, from her rich days, I guess she knows Rick. But but even she's still rich. But
Yeah.
like I thought like from her off-screen days, like I truly could not put it together even after seeing the picture. And then I was like, okay, but you don't remember that Rick is Molly's dad?
I know. Like, come on.
And
I could not.
why would he, and he had to tell them like, you murdered, and he referred to Christina as his niece, and Johnny's like, has he never done that? I'm like, I don't know, he's ever like, he's when was he last on the show?
I
And the
know,
kids
right?
weren't always involved, and so just to hear him at least recognize his relationship to Christina, I'm like, does he care about her? I don't know. And then mention, his dead grandchild. I was like, why would he represent Ava?
It just goes to show like how Nina thinks about like life as a whole, like which I love because I'm loving this new Nina character. She's funny as heck, but she's still she has so much work to do, right? Like she's not very introspective or thinking outside of herself and what the connections could be and why this would be a good or a bad idea.
She's trying because she's like, I
She
think you
is.
deserve another chance, Ava, and let's be friends. And I also did not even remember why she needed a lawyer. I'm like, why?
I know. Oh my
I'm
god, that
like,
case was the worst.
I'm like, was she actually hiring Rick for the Christina charges or for the custody? I actually don't even know.
Oh, I thought it was for the Christina charges.
Okay,
But
that
then
makes
I
sense.
also, it does make sense. But then we hear like the charges are dropped. Christina doesn't have to worry. And then we hear Robert's taking over because it's Robert. So like, I don't know.
Like this is like the 300th time we're doing this. I didn't think knowing what happened on the show was important to talk about today. But you brought up Robert, and so then randomly, Mac. Also, other things I forgot. So when Mac is like telling Robert, like, I'll tell Robin, I'll be the
I
bad
was
cop.
so
I'm like, well,
confused
obviously
about
you're gonna.
this though.
So for me, I'm like, well, Mac, obviously you're gonna tell her like you're literally like her dad. And then
Yes,
he reminded
exactly.
Robert that he was her dad. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. That Robert is actually the dad, because I'm like, of course it would be best coming from you. And no, you're not a bad cop. And then he's like, yeah, I feel like it could have been a drinking game. Kate's went
Right?
bad. Kate's went so bad. You know who's also bad? That was a bad segue. You know who's also bad? Holly, and you like her. And I'm like, so him and Diane are not together? So that was okay. So Robert and Diane not a thing.
I'm okay with that. You know what? The
Me
flirt in the
too.
beginning was fun, but I did not like the way he didn't treat her the way she deserved to. Like when she was with one of Sunny's bodyguards, like their relationship was so cute.
Well, because she needs to hook up with that lawyer.
Oh,
Because they
oh
have
yes.
chemistry,
Oh
and he's
yes.
like he looks like he would worship Diane. Like he's so he's like clearly a fan. So I was happy to hear that little detail. And then they bring up Holly. So even though they randomly in a weird way brought up Holly, in my head I'm like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like not even one part of me was trying to like connect a dot that this would easily fall into like a Lucky storyline. And then like Lucky's face, he hears Holly, and then she walks in, and I was like, what? Just like, I don't know. I don't know what to think, because it's like even that story, I love it. I think it's pretty cool. You know, we know Laura's on her way. Laura's gonna recognize Holly. I feel like she shows up to most things. But then this John Doe, like I've never seen so much elbow grease being put into a John Doe. Like you have the deputy mayor who's like, you know what? You probably have a family. CSI, WSB calling in all favors for just this one guy in the hospital. You would think that there was no crime. You would think that there was no organized crime, no FBI agent was shot, no other cases. You got Ava, like insane to me.
I kind of loved it because they did kind of break it down a little bit that like there's so many things
Yeah.
that she can't fix and she feels
Yeah.
like this child and well this grown man child she's gonna figure out who he is and reunite him with the people that love him and that he loves, and Dante's like right on board and like went back to the scene of the crime. But yes, I have never seen them work so hard.
But how do you miss a phone? Anyways, but my favorite line was between Jordan and Dante when he's like, I wish I was out there, because he feels helpless. So you're right. I like the fact that they added that. But then Jordan says, Laura has contacts that you don't. But what I heard was Laura is cooler. End of story. Like, why would like it was just sort of like, of course Laura's gonna go. She's a badass.
Right, I do love that very much. Yeah, Dante
So
would be so useless out there.
yeah, it was just sort of like, just respect GH royalty. She can, like, Laura can handle this. And so, but I loved how quickly they made the connection. I'm like, so now we want to solve cases, guys. So how quickly they made the connection from the rando in the room who's gonna be murdered or something. Like that guy, he's lurking. Elizabeth, shouldn't you know your staff?
Go on, I know, I was really annoyed by that. I'm like, she should have clued in right away.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Dante's like, yeah, I saw the CSI guy leaving. I'm like, did you notice anything else, detective? Like the
But
guy
the guy,
lurking, ready to murder the person inside.
he was so funny though. The way he was like peeking around corners was like a cartoon.
Loved it.
It was amazing.
So they figured out that this guy is probably connected to Lucky, and if Jordan bonds with him, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what role this. He's gonna be a doctor, obviously, but like Jordan flirting with Brick giving us the background story. You know, Curtis. Oh my gosh, Curtis. So it's like if
Curtis.
Jordan starts with this guy, is Curtis going to be jealous because he often doesn't remember that he's married, which is why he was the perfect person for Drew to talk to. There could not be a more perfect person. So many things Curtis said. First of all, Curtis immediately picked up on how there for you was she. Like
I
immediately. And then he starts by, feelings aren't betrayal. Kisses certainly are not. Hell, are you sure you weren't married once? Because if you were, it doesn't count. Like,
stop. He was so. What does he say that killed me too? One of my favorite lines. He says something along the lines of, "I hope you got that admiration out of your system."
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Because to him, it's like, it's okay. Like this is I mean, honestly, he couldn't have told a better person because Curtis understands and he's definitely gonna like make it okay for Drew. Like if Drew was looking for someone to give permission to make this okay, it's Curtis.
I love the fact that in the scene with Drew and Willow, Drew is like, "I'm not telling a soul. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna tell anybody." Literally, next scene, soul like Curtis, this thing happened.
So the thing is, he goes to drop Willow home and then is like, okay, I almost I mean, I did kiss my nephew's wife. We saw an FBI's body. What I wanted to do was hustle back to the office, have a one-on-one, and have a meeting. Like that felt like the same night to me.
It really did, though.
Yeah, because Willow's going to bed and he's having a late night meeting.
Talk about late night meetings. What do you think of the whole Ava Jason partnership with that lady?
Okay, so all of that, I'm like, what's going on? Like, what, like for real? Like, so Jason like finds the body, the guy, and
Yeah.
he's always the one calling 911. So when Jordan's like, I listened to the 911 recording, it's always Jason. So if ever you're wondering who's
I
calling in
know.
for a random person being hurt, it's your neighborhood friendly criminal man. It's Jason. And so then he finds Ava and then it's like a weird situation. I'm like, what are you hired to do in this sitch, right? Because he
Hmm.
finds her, saves her, and then is like, nope, this is all you. Like you do it. And I'm here to help you. What's your call? I'm like, I don't know what's going down, but it was interesting watching them together. They look kind of cute, but I
Yes.
didn't like what they were insinuating.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if they were, but they were comfortable, cozy. They paired them together. But again, I'm gonna say, like, the vibe they put off is like, she's grateful for the favor. She's always grateful when someone helps. They obviously understand each other, but like
Yes.
Jason knows exactly who she is. He said she's innocent this time. I love the hard time Diane was giving. So it was, it was a way to wrap up the story, but for some reason they clearly did not want Jason to be at the Quartermains or involved in the Kate's thing because clearly it would have happened better.
Yes, it would have.
So that's an interesting situation. Like they actually made sure Jason wasn't available to help and he has a solid alibi. And he's just like, why didn't anybody call me? So this is strange. Jason's used to being in the center of everything. And now he's watching all these people sort of handle things without him. Like no one's calling him. Like Carly's not even calling him right now. Michael's not even calling him right now.
I know, it's such an interesting dynamic. Like the whole, like you said, like that he's not being involved, but we still don't truly know how he's reprised his job with Summer. Like,
No, no.
so it's kind of confusing. It's almost like he's testing the waters, and Anna keeps pushing his darn buttons. Like when she saw him when she was there for the one, she's like,
Ew.
"I just want to say thank you for our." I don't. She said something really snarky to him that
She's
looked like it actually hurt his feelings.
Yeah, but she said a lot of super weird things. So starting at the police station, so the whole thing was about Diane calling Jason her favorite client because he listens to her and he doesn't talk without her present.
Yes,
And then we hear like I love how Diane's like, and exactly why? Like, why would you talk without a lawyer present? Like it was
exactly.
but again, big things, right? Ava recants her statement and they even get that person to say all these things. So this is interesting now. You have a bunch of people going on record about all the bad things Kate's did. So this is
Yes,
interesting too. Because it's an easy out for the case as well, that we won't pursue it further because like he was corrupt. So I
yes.
don't know where they're gonna go with it. They could obviously pursue it, but there's an out due to like his character and the fact that he like went bad, if you will. So
Hmm.
then Anna asked Jason to stay back, and Diane is like, "Should I stay?" And he's like, "No." Which again goes against her advice. She walks out, and did you notice Anna's face? Because Anna says bye to Diane, and Diane doesn't respond, and
Yes.
Anna has a little look, and then
Mhm.
she gets really gross and goes,
So
"I'm
gross.
proud of you." I'm like,
Ew.
ew, like
So
just like
ew.
like honestly, privately, just go, "Hey, I'm so sad. Jason didn't pick me and doesn't want to work with me anymore." That would be so much better than all the weird ways it's coming out. And I love that he is serving as this mirror to call her on her crap. So she starts to be all weird with him. And then she starts to time to the murder, knowing he has a witness, like that he has an alibi. And then it's like, but I think it's Sunny. So why are you talking to Jason? Go talk to Sunny. And then I
Right.
love that he turned the tables on her as if she could be a suspect.
So awesome.
And
He's
then
so
at
awesome.
I know. And then so at Sunny's, so now Jason's finally being looped into everything. So this is one idea I have. Okay. And I
Mhm.
don't know. Because right now, the way that they're portraying it, Carly and Sunny have really changed, right? And even like this
Yes.
is what I mean. Nothing is as it seems. Because sometimes, of course, they hint that two people have something, but they're just placing people together, but you could tell there's nothing really, right? Like Michael's helping
Yes.
Sunny, but we know everything's not back to normal. Carly's helping Sunny, it's not all back to normal. Jason is helping Ava, it doesn't mean he thinks she's some kind of saint.
Yes,
So
exactly.
so it's interesting watching, and I for now, like I'm taking what they're giving. And so think about the complications. This whole like Sunny and Carly have to pretend to be together. And I loved it when he was telling her, like, you have to sleep over. It's like, I hate that that makes sense to me. But
Yeah.
I just didn't know that Port Charles, the city, and the police department were such prudes. Everyone's like, it's not believable that two people who are not in a relationship could have sexual relations. That's not believable. You have to show them that you're willing to spend more time together. Or put a label on it, people. Put a label on it, folks, if you want it to be
I
believable.
could not.
So it's like even Diane, I'm glad she realized what the truth is. But like I didn't like that. When I saw Diane react, that's when I was like, oh damn, like it makes Carly look real bad because
Yeah, so
everybody saw what
bad.
she went through. Everybody could acknowledge her growth and how much she's changed. And
Yeah.
as much as Diane loves Sunny, she does not love them together.
Oh
And
no.
and then she said something like, you better get your story straight because unlike Anna, I can suspend belief.
I know. So
That was so good. And so this is what I was thinking. Right now, Carly, they're throwing that idea out. So they're throwing the idea out that they have to pretend to be together, but clearly Carly's not doing that. She's saying it's a one-time thing. She's not acting proud of it. She's not really complying with this like suggestion.
yes.
And so imagine you have to pretend to be together. The only time that's really a problem, because like I mean, if they're single, whatever, being single and having to do this, it's annoying. It's annoying because for Carly, it's going to just create more friction between her and Joss. It's
Yes.
the way people are going to look at her. So sure, there's that, but no major cost. The way that it would have a bigger cost is if two people who are pretending to be together want to be with someone else.
Exactly.
And so this is where I'm starting to wonder, you know, is something going to go on between her and Jason, and is that going to blow it all up? Because what if, like, Sunny, because we talked about this possibility before. What if, like, Carly is with someone and it creates like a jealousy? Like, I don't know.
Yes.
Like, Jason's been back and she's the only thing that didn't change, right?
Yes.
And so I don't know how is and because everyone keeps saying have a life with Carly, Carly this, Carly's the center of your world, Carly's well you do everything. People have been throwing that out, and I'm just wondering how is Jason going to feel if they do have to pretend? Because on the surface it looks like an easy way and a clever and original way to throw Sunny and Carly back together, but things would drastically have to shift. I mean, there are years that happen, years of really difficult years to watch in terms of how Sunny and Carly were completely ripped apart. That is what's making this dynamic right now possible. Like the fact that they're two different people is a result of the past few years.
I like what you're saying. I think it's just too easy to push them back together, and so many
Yeah.
people don't want them together. And even that, like, it was very subtle, but when Sunny was just kind of letting Jason know what happened and who covered for him, like, he definitely, like, the way he repeated Michael's name, the way he repeated Carly's name, it's like because
Yeah.
that's his family, that's
Yeah.
his core, and they left him out of something. And I definitely think that's going to trigger things to move the story forward and faster in a different way, because we haven't really seen a lot of scenes with Jason and Michael and Jason and Carly, like you said, in that kind of different zone and different way. And I'm hoping that that's just pushing that story forward.
Oh wow. What's looking like a Sunny Carly's story is actually a Jason Sunny story of whose family is whose.
Oh,
You're taking
yes.
what's mine. And it goes back to what you said earlier. You said Jason is often saving them and getting them out of trouble, and Sunny is often getting them into trouble. And Jason is going
Yes.
to feel really protective. So this actually might more be a story that challenges the Sunny Jason relationship, right? Because everyone is being a little bit more honest with themselves and trying to grow and put themselves first. And if Jason is growing as a person, it's not Sunny he can keep putting first, you know, like he was away from his family, he values that. Oh, and then all the weird Anna stuff you were talking about before. So in terms,
Before we go to Anna, I also want to give you props for what you said about Sonny and his drugs, and that him and his drugs, him being back on his meds and being more balanced, but still making these choices. So it's like their relationship, and then level that up with he's supposed to make better choices now.
yes, and like I don't think like you know how you said earlier like Jason's position isn't settled. It's Jason and Sunny's relationship isn't fully settled.
Yes,
And it's not
yes.
like fully official. So like, you know, he does this job, he takes the gun, and obviously the warrant is not going to be to search Jason, right? He
Yeah.
has an alibi, so that's
I
how
want
that
that warrant.
just for Jason's body.
Exactly.
So that's where that like alibi comes in handy, is that he's just simply not a suspect. So this is where Anna gets weird. So he's there, you know, on his way out, but then Anna asks him to talk to him. And that's where she kind of like insults him, and he's like, I have never changed. Like I have, and it's true. Jason has
Yes.
been who he is consistently. The person who waffles and who's inconsistent is Anna Banana.
Yes.
And so remember, he's leaving. She wants to talk to him, and then is like why are you even here? He's like, I was gonna go. She's like, you're gonna go? Why would you leave if you're
You know, I could not. I could not. I'm like, this is like a high school girlfriend. Like, I cannot.
pretty much? And I was like, Jason, you need to leave unless you plan on launching an insult directly to Anna's face, which I would be happy if it were to happen. Because Anna's like, really? You and Carly aren't even together. And you slept together? Like, when does that even happen? And I'm like, what? Like Jason was parked outside while you sleep with Valentine. What was your title then? Like,
I
why is
know.
it so
Oh,
unbelievable that two people who are not in a relationship slept together one time and it's just not gonna happen again? Like, I don't understand what
I don't
happened to poor
either.
Charles. Like, they just murder, right? They just murder, they do all kinds of crazy stuff, but apparently they're like, you excuse me, you want to sleep with someone you have a history with one time? No,
How dare
not
you?
believable, not believable. And then Anna goes on to say some other really strange stuff. Oh, you lost your, like, first of all, he was shot with a 9 millimeter.
Uh,
178 people have one, and Sonny's on that list. That should be enough to get a warrant. And I'm like, I guess I don't really know how the law, but like, what? And so then they go and it's not there. So she's like, well, it's not there. So if it's not there, we can't test
Captain
it and we
Obvious.
can't rule you out from this murder. And I'm like, but you can't also rule that he did do it either. You're
Yep.
saying the absence of a gun means you can't prove that he didn't do it, but you also can't prove that he did do it either because you don't have a gun. Because you can't prove anything either way. Like, it's bidirectional here. What
Yeah.
cop school did she go to?
Nobody knows. This is the whole problem, guys.
And
Nobody checked her references.
she's supposed to be what? Like schooling Dex? Like, what's Dex learning here?
No, but Dex, his face was everything. It was like, I know where the lockbox is. I was like, oh,
I know. I was like, really, Dex? I mean, I get it.
not
He's
the
trying to
time, guy.
no, but he's trying to like score some points with the boss. But I'm like, that boss really, whatever.
No, yeah, I know.
But freaking Rick, you know, he's all like, Elizabeth, let me poke around. Let me ask about Heather Weather. Let me get you Heather Weather? Heather Weber.
It goes though. It flows. I love it.
He wants her time. He wants to give her coffee, you know?
Mm,
He's been gone
mm.
for so long. And then he's like, since when are you not a goody two shoe? Since when can I not count on you to rat people out? I was like, excuse me. Like, I loved all the jokes on the bridge when like
Yes.
it looked like I'm like, okay, maybe they bought her story. And then as soon as they left, she's like, that was a gun. That was a gun, right? And so I'm just like, Elizabeth, like, why? Why? Like, first of all, at first I was like loving her loyalty to Alexis and just to like the
Yes.
moms in Port Charles and just that. And also her bringing Molly into this. He's like, Molly would want what's right. And I'm like, what?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure this is the exact kind of stress she's wants on top of everything else. And like you have Elizabeth thinking about Molly and thinking about the bigger picture, but not him. And I just can't believe she caved. I was like, Elizabeth, like you have like you could have literally just said, I don't know what he's talking about. You know, I couldn't really tell. Like I thought it was, but I can't say for sure. Or she just shouldn't have went. Like let him go do this on his own.
I am so thoroughly annoyed with that relationship because the way they've changed Elizabeth's character and her strengths, and it was showing through, but
Yeah.
like the way he grabbed her arm when she was walking away, and she definitely like looked at him like, "Do not touch me. Use your words." Then how he tried to like bring back the past of who she is, trying to tell her who she is when she's like, "You haven't been here for like a decade. You have no idea who I am." So I liked seeing her be strong, but exactly that, her agreeing to go with him, that he was able to manipulate her in such a way. Like, I just want Lucky to come back and punch him in the face. I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, because he was even saying something like, well, you know, if she's innocent and she would never, what's the big deal? I'm like, are you kidding
Ugh,
me?
so gross.
Like, because she said you're implying that she murdered somebody, and the idea that only guilty people end up in jail?
Right?
Really? Really, Rick? And then he had to point out to Chase, you know, she's murdered before. Like, not
I could
suspicious at
not with
all.
him.
Oh, I was so irritated by all of this. So look, I'm a bit disappointed that she ended up going with him. And I hope she puts her distance because he's like, I'll catch up with you later. And I'm like, don't let him
No,
catch you.
keep running.
Not up, not down. Don't let him catch you.
Hmm.
Not liking. He's not good for Elizabeth at all.
No, she's come too far to accept a man like that.
Exactly.
Like he could end up with like an Ava.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that would track.
Yeah.
Because you know, he said, he goes, I could never. You murdered my grandchild. And then if he does that, Molly would be like, no. Maybe that's how he leaves the show. I'm sorry. I'm so tired.
Okay, you know what, guys? We've
I've done
covered
this
all.
300 times. I am tired. Not in a row, but it sounds like I did it in a row.
We covered all the things. We talked about all this stuff. The only one thing I need to say right now is I love when Diane said bedding down in the quarter main bedroom. I was like, whoa, that is hilarious.
She, she even came up with another term. She said a momentarily, what? A
Momentary.
momentary sexual relapse.
I did love that. And she also said, well, while you're, what did you say? You need a partner of your growth, shuffling off his mortal coil. I was like, it sounded like Spinelli, like all kinds.
Well, now my favorite line is going to sound silly. I think I said something before, said stuff before, but it's when Carly, the way she said, "How did you seduce me this time?" Like she was so not into it. It was hilarious.
Okay, so our first star goes to Carly, all her face acting and all the things she had to say. Joss for just, she really brought it. She really laid it all out for us in such a way that we were like, yeah, you're like totally right.
Right?
I know this sucks,
It
but
was so
she's going to
tough
do
to
it.
take. It was
It
really tough to
was.
take because I'm like, hey, you're not just talking to your mom right now. You're making us all feel bad. That we all should know better, and we didn't see it. We don't like this. Your youth is showing, and we don't like it.
Who else? A star to Elizabeth because I did like the banter. She did great, like by the bridge, like you said. I'm gonna give a star. I know it's like weird, but like a star to that scene in the cemetery because it was just like so super intense.
Yes, it was really intense, and I'm just like honestly, like I'm on. I, it's making me feel like I'm walking on eggshells because I'm scared for if Molly shows up and sees the
I
other stuff
know.
being.
Oh my gosh, I know. I
I
know.
am so scared. Like that's a lot. Like I understand what Christina is feeling, but I'm like, should you have left something there? Honestly, Like, do you really,
Ugh,
you can dig your
yeah.
heels in there? Like, do it at home. Call her Adele at home. Call her Adele
Right?
at the grave. Sure. But I don't think you should leave your Mickey Mouse. Just, I draw the line at the Mickey Mouse. Have some respect. Oh, so bad. But I
So
want to give
bad.
funny stars. Funny stars to Carly,
Yes.
and Sunny, to the Quartermain living room. That was
Yes.
hilarious. A miracle star that Lois was able to get rid of her accent in one go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good student. I started Nina just for some funny things like her interaction with Tracy, how she could not get over the baby food on Tracy's shirt.
I
Her
know. I
moment
was
with
like, let it go.
I know it's like you wanted kids so badly, you want to be around your grandkids, but like that bothers you. Popping into that, like it felt like a cartoon when Sunny and Carly were standing together, and you just kind of like pokes her head into like their bubble, and it's like, so guys, I really want to be a part of this trio, and I really need to say this out loud.
But it's so hilarious, right? Who is in the Quartermain house? It was interesting. I
Right?
liked it. I liked
I
it.
liked it too. I liked all of it. Oh my gosh, we covered it. It was what, 4 days? We did it, guys.
No,
We
it's really long. Oh, why did you have to tell me it was
did it.
okay. Yeah.
Uh, so happy 300th. People keep listening. Follow us. Listen. Say good stuff to us. Have a
Listen,
great.
Horde. Because
Listen,
Mel told
order,
you to do
guys.
it. Mel told you twice that you should listen. So I'm hoping you're gonna do it hard. Or she'll keep asking.
I'm Anna Banana. I'm like embodying. Just listen, guys. Listen, guys.
Because
Oh my
it'll
god.
prove, because if you listen and we don't know that you're listening or not listening, it'll prove that you are if you do. Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
that's a wrap. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.
bye.